What's going on, everybody? Hey, it's Mike, the host for Professional Dependa. Thank you for joining us this week on this episode. This week, we're going to be talking about a little bit more about what we talked about 2 weeks ago with trying to figure out your identity and what does that look like moving forward. It's something I've been thinking about a lot lately. I've been journaling a lot, been reading a lot. So sit tight. We'll be right back. What's going on, everybody? Hey, it's Mike. Thanks for listening this week. Thanks for watching this week if you're on YouTube. If you're new to the channel, please like and subscribe. That way you can find out what's going on. That way you can catch up on all the old episodes and everything that's coming up. Last 2 weeks ago, we talked about, it was kind of a spur of the moment episode. And I talked about your identity. What is your identity? Who are you? Why do military spouses struggle with their identity? This week, I want to kind of dive a little bit more into that because the more I've been thinking about it, the more I've been reading, the more I realize that we've actually set ourselves up for not being able to figure this out from a very early age. Think about it. If you have kids, you've probably done this with your kids because it's just what adults do. How many times when you were younger did you hear, what do you want to be when you grow up? And depending on where you're from and how old you are, if you're like me, once you kind of hit 10 or 11, if somebody said, what do you want to be when you grow up? And you said a thing, that's what everybody expected of you. I don't know why, but for a lot of us, that's what was expected of you. If I said I wanted to be a police officer, everybody expected me to be a police officer. My entire identity got wrapped up into becoming a police officer. And that's what I did. I pushed forward, got a degree in criminal justice and then a master's degree in homeland security. I wanted to be a police officer. I wanted to go. My ultimate goal was to be a U.S. Marshal. That was what I wanted to be when I was a kid. I was like, I want to be a U.S. Marshal. That's what I want to do. And I put everything I had into that. Then things change, right? As you get a little older, and maybe even while you're obtaining that goal, I was a police officer. And then life happens, things change. My wife joined the Air Force, which isn't to say I could not have still been a police officer other places. I still did. Whenever she first joined, we moved from South Louisiana to North Louisiana. I was still a cop, and I enjoyed it. But then we left the state. We were only going to be the next place for a year. But I mean, you can't, in the state that we were moving to, they don't accept the same credentials that I had. So I had to go through a whole new, by the time I would have finished training, it would have been time to move. Because we were only there for such a short time. So things change, perspectives shift, right? And I was stuck. I even caught myself doing this to my kids. I've been thinking about this more. Caught myself doing this to my kids where I was like, hey, well, what do you want to be? When they were super little. What do you want to be when you grow up? Oh, I want to be a teacher. I want to be this, I want to be that. And with my youngest, her idea of what she wants to be when she grows up changes with the weather. And at first, I caught myself being like, well, I thought you wanted to be this. I thought you wanted to be that. Again, with that old mentality of, no, you already said this thing. Kid, we don't know what we want to be. I'm still trying to figure out what I want to be when I grow up now. But it's one of those things where you have to be flexible, especially with kids. Let them be what they want to be. And I'm going to circle back to what I initially started talking about of whenever you spend so much time and energy devoted into becoming one thing. So let's just stick with the military for an example. Let's say you always wanted to be a soldier. You always wanted to be an airman. You knew you wanted to be in the military. So you spent your entire, late childhood going, through high school with the singular goal of joining the military. What happens if you don't get in? Or even worse, and just stick with me, you'll see where I'm going with this. Even worse, you get in. You spend your entire career in the military. Your entire identity is being in the military. Now you get out. You retire, or for a lack of a better term, you're just too broken to continue. Because let's face it, the military, it's a rough gig. It is a rough lifestyle. People get broken. So let's say you're not physically or mentally able to continue. but that has been your entire identity for most of your life. Now what? Are you able to pivot? Are you able to figure out the next thing? Or do you get out and you have no idea what's going on? Because that's what we see a lot of, right? We see that a lot with our especially with transitioning military, with a lot of military spouses. A lot of, again, as a spouse, my whole identity coming up was I wanted to be a police officer. And I had achieved that goal and was working my way through hitting my goals. But then my opportunity shifted. And I was stuck for a little while. I didn't know what I wanted to do. But I was able to figure out the next thing because at the end of the day, I just wanted to work. I enjoy working, so I wanted to work. So I got a new job. I found another job I enjoyed. Still got to teach, still got to make an impact. Then I went on and got another degree. Am I doing anything with it yet? Not yet. Will I? Hopefully. Really hope so, because it's making an impact. It's, serving my community still. So, it's all the things I wanted to do as a police officer, just in a different aspect. But when you spend so much time building that identity, and then your opportunities and your chances to continue with that identity change, it's natural to feel stuck. It's natural to feel like, well, now I don't know what to do. Where we get caught and where we need to be really careful is being stuck in that downward spiral. You remember a couple episodes ago, and I started talking about wanting to be remembered with commas. That's when you start to get stuck, you need to think, okay, well, what else do I do? What else do I enjoy doing? And if it's a work thing, okay, what else do I enjoy doing? Can I make money with this? Most successful entrepreneurs and business people say they just saw a problem that needed to be fixed, and they fixed it. The money came later. But what if you really just enjoy working? What if you just need the money? And you're like, well, okay, what else would I enjoy doing? Okay, well, I like to sew. Can I make money sewing? Yeah, absolutely. You can. Okay, I like to write music. Can I make money writing music? Yeah. I like to play an instrument. I like to do yard work. Can I make money doing yard work? Yes, absolutely. My yard guy makes a killing. He does very well for himself. There's all these different things. Do you like to lift weights? Okay, well, how do you know a lot about lifting weights? Maybe you could start coaching. Maybe you can become a personal trainer, get certified, start working at a gym if you don't have a home gym. There's all these different things that if you're willing to look at your life as who are you with commas and not I was this thing, then it's so much easier to pivot and press on and understand that part of your identity that you were working so hard toward is just one of the commas. It's one of the things, yes, I did this. This was who I was. This was part of who I was, part of who I am. But now I'm doing this other thing. And even as a society, we get stuck on, okay, if that's what that person's identity is, I can't see them doing anything else. Is it you can't see them doing anything else, or are you just too narrow-minded and you have your blinders on to where you can't see them doing anything else and you don't want to? Like, just for an example, I'll use I know y'all get tired of hearing about me and my life, but these are the examples I have for you. My oldest daughter, she's been in gymnastics since she was like 2. And she's always done gymnastics. We have done gymnastics in every single state we've lived in, with the exception of Louisiana, because they were too little in Louisiana. But regardless, so she's always done gymnastics. Well, now her interests have shifted to, she was doing horseback riding for a little bit, because I'll let your kids try stuff. Okay, don't just be like, no, you're only doing this. Put them in everything. Let them do everything. Did horseback riding for a little bit, but she really fell in love with theater and singing and chorus and volleyball. And she asked me if she could quit doing gymnastics. And a little piece of me died inside, because I have watched her do gymnastics since she was little. And she's not so little anymore. So for the past 8 years, I've watched her do gymnastics, and I've seen her grow and flourish. I've seen what it's done for her, her confidence level, her willingness to try new things, her willingness to do the hard stuff, her ability to work, all stems from that. So I saw this grow in her, but I have to be willing to let her do the things she wants to do and try the next thing and do the next thing. So again, will she be able to, as she grows up, say that she's a gymnast? She can say she was a gymnast, because again, that's a comma. She did gymnastics. She did it for 8 years. That's how many of y'all can say you did anything for 8 years straight? There's very, very little that I can say I've done consistently for 8 years. Lifting weights is about the only thing that I can say I've consistently done. I've lifted weights, pretty regularly since I was about 18. I know I don't look like it, but I have. And then there's my youngest. My youngest is probably the most natural athlete we have in our family. There's nothing that kid can't do. It blows me away how quickly she picks up anything athletic, and she's a natural competitor. She reminds me a lot of Allen Iverson, AI. Whenever everybody always talks about the practice, we're talking about practice. And if you know the backstory to that, you know what it's really meaning. But everybody always goes back to that, practice. Or Randy Moss talking about he only plays hard for Monday Night Football because that's when all the cameras are there. My youngest will be a little silly and not try as hard at practice, which is really funny to me because she's still incredibly talented and does really, really well. And I'm always like, if you would try a little bit harder at practice, imagine how much better you'd be at game time. But once she was playing soccer, she'd be a little silly and not take it as serious. But whenever the whistle blew and there was another team standing in front of her, it was like a different kid. It was insane to watch. And she's not quite that bad with gymnastics. With gymnastics, she takes it a little bit more serious, and then she during practice, and then she takes it a lot more serious in competition. But so she's always done two sports. She's done soccer, gymnastics. We've done track and a few other things as well. And she told me she didn't want to play soccer anymore. Which, again, I've watched her play soccer since she was little. Well, she's still little, but she's only 9. But that's neither here nor there. I've watched her play soccer a lot. She's again played soccer. I guess she didn't start playing soccer until Arkansas because she was too little for soccer in Alaska. But anyway, I've watched her grow and progress in soccer and get really good at soccer, and her be like, I just don't want to do this anymore. I only want to do gymnastics. And as much as I tell people to shy away from being a one sport athlete, don't let your kids specialize too early. The only thing that's good about gymnastics when it comes to not really worrying about being a one sport athlete is they move every direction. They work every part of their body. It's not you don't really get that. If your kid wants to be a pitcher and all they ever do is pitch, you don't just get that constant motion with the one thing, right? Or, playing, if they just only want to play soccer and they don't only just kick, right? There's all the other stuff that goes into it. At least when it comes to gymnastics, from my opinion. If some of y'all are physiologists or have different opinions, that's fine. These are my opinions. Just let me know what you think. But we do the same thing as adults. Again, I wanted to be a cop, so I worked towards that. But then I got to working with the federal government as a security specialist, and found out I really enjoyed that. I found out I was pretty good at it. And then we moved. Couldn't find that job again. Because, everybody, if you don't know that military spouse employment is incredibly difficult, it's incredibly difficult. It's probably one of the most stressful things as a military spouse. As a military spouse that wants to work. It's finding meaningful, gainful employment. Could I find a job? Absolutely. I could go out and get a job doing whatever. But finding a job that's going to be meaningful and fulfilling is a completely different story when you're a military spouse versus most other people. Because most people, if you just really want to go out and find a job, you can find a job, you just got to be willing to move. I can't move. But, spouses, once we get to a spot where our spouse is being stationed, we're there. And now, unfortunately, we're starting to see a trend where remote work is starting to go away, even though we saw record productivity and all the things that point to why work from home is good. Whatever, that's a podcast for another day. So, but your identity can shift. It can change. It doesn't have to be just the one thing. And that's what I was talking about 2 weeks ago when I was saying, live your life and have commas in your identity. I didn't want to be known as just, oh, Mike, yeah, he's a police officer. Oh, yeah, he's a cop. I didn't want that to be the only thing people said about me. Even whenever I was doing it, I was doing triathlon, I was weightlifting, I was doing other stuff. But I don't want to just be known as, oh yeah, he was a cop. That's not me. I mean, the idea behind being a cop was to, and this is corny as this sounds, but it was truly to protect and serve. I wanted to serve my community. I wanted to protect people that needed help. I think I did a good job of that. I really do. I can look back on my career as a police officer and I can hold my head up high. So I have no question that I did everything to the best of my ability, and that I help people. So, but moving forward, I don't want to necessarily lose all those aspects of who I was, but that doesn't mean that defines who I am, if that makes sense. Again, so, being able to pivot and move to that next thing of, okay, well, I want to be the best, a more supportive husband. I want to be an encouraging father. I want to be a mentor to other dads. I want to be a mentor to other military spouses. I want to be that person that other people can call and be like, hey, Mike, I'm going through this. Can you help? Yeah, absolutely. Even if it's nothing more than, I don't know a lot about that, but I can listen. And maybe while I'm listening, we can figure it out together. Or, you know what? I don't know, but let's call up my friend that has been through this or is an expert in this, and we can figure it out, the three of us. Or I can just put you in touch with them, and once you're ready, I can back out and let the two of you handle it. It's making connections can help you with your identity. Because let's say, and I kind of laugh at the term, but I get it now. With my wife being in, coming up on 13 years, I kind of get it now with whenever you hear other spouses say, a seasoned spouse, I get it now. And that sounds crazy. I know. I'm not trying to say I'm not trying to say, whatever, but the military spouses that have been around the block a few times and have not gotten salty about it, the ones that have stayed optimistic about the future, the ones that have stayed positive and encouraging, not the ones that sit back and go, oh no, this, welcome to the military life. It just sucks. Get used to it. No, the ones that are encouraging, like, cool. Where are you at again? Oh, you're at Barksdale. Gotcha. I was there. Check and see if this, check here, check there. Let me see if I know anybody in the area still. Or, let me see who's there now. Maybe there's somebody that we were stationed with previously that's there now. Because it's nuts, man. Like, everybody always says the military is huge and it's small at the same time, and that is fact. We're getting ready to move to a base that we've never been to before, but through my wife's deployments, she knows like 10 different people, and they're not all medical. She knows people from other areas that are going to be there, and that's crazy to me. We have friends that are up there right now that we're super excited to be moving close to, because we're going to be in the same city, basically, smaller community, whatever you want to call it. It's like a town within a town, basically. I don't know. But anyway, we were stationed with them in Alaska, and they're great friends of ours, and we're super excited to be moving close to them. But it's nuts how small the community can be. So that's whenever I say the seasoned spouse that stayed optimistic, it can be like, oh, let me check my network and see if I know anybody there. Because chances are you do. That seasoned spouse that has never let the negativity seep in. I mean, yeah, there's negative stuff that happens. That's neither here nor there, but it's not letting it seep in and stain their personality. Because I could go on social media right now and find an insane amount of people that are just incredibly negative and incredibly just hateful about their military life. There's really no other way to say it. They are so caught up in saying how much everything sucks and saying how much they hate everything, and how if their life is miserable, basically your life should be miserable. And I don't get down with that at all. Like that, to me, that's pointless. And why want to bring somebody else down just because they're trying to figure life out? I don't have life figured out. I'd rather help you figure it out, and maybe me helping you figure it out would help me figure out the next thing for me. It's just the way it is, man. And we've all seen it. If you go on your spouse's page right now and just scroll for just probably less than a minute. Look for that first spouse asking for help and see how many people are like, "Oh, you're stupid," or wait for somebody to ask a question. And they'll be like, "Oh, let me Google that for you," or whatever. And I'm guilty of it. Because sometimes it is, by the time they would have searched it in the search bar in Google, it probably would have found it faster than going to Facebook and typing it in and then waiting for a response, right? I'm guilty of it too. I'm trying to get better. Something I work towards, try to not be that guy. Most of the time I'm very helpful. At least I'd like to think most of the time I'm very helpful. But man, that goes back to, who do you want to be? What is your identity? Do you want to be the salty spouse, the salty seasoned spouse? All the seasons in the world, do you want to choose to be salty? That's on a shirt somewhere. I love it. It's great. But why wouldn't you want to move forward helping people? Help them figure out if they're stuck. If they come in and say, "You know what? I always wanted to be a teacher, but now we're moving, and I don't know if my credentials will move with me." Maybe they don't know about some of the bills that have been passed that help people with certifications move, be able to find a job in other places. Maybe they've never considered being a paraprofessional, one of those people that goes to school. They're not necessarily a teacher, but they help with all the students and they interact with the students a lot. Maybe they've never considered being a long-term sub. You have substitute teachers that come in and basically work for an entire year because another teacher's taking a sabbatical. So they're not a quote-unquote teacher. They're still a sub, but they're there for the entire school year or half the school year. So again, these are all things that you can help people find figure out what to put in their commas. And it just, and if you've made it this far, I'm about to kind of change it a little bit, but not a lot. So one of the things that I think the issue is when it comes to all these people being so negative and being so, "Oh, well, you may think you have it bad, but we have to deal with this." It's become super trendy and super cool to be the I don't give a whatever. The whole not give a F. It's honestly become rebellious to have empathy these days. To say, "No, I do care. Let's talk about this. Let's figure it out." Like that has become straight up rebellion. The cool, trendy thing to do right now is to sit back and be like, "No, screw that. I don't like that. I don't care. I don't care what you think about me. And I don't care what I think. I don't care what you think I think about you." This whole thing of just not caring, I don't know when it started, but like you see books in the self-help section talk about the subtle art of not giving a fuck. I try not to cuss on here, but I can't help it sometimes. But you see all these books like that, man, and I don't know if it just became cool to be like, "No, I don't care. I'm only going to focus on me." But what's that old expression? If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. because everybody's like, oh no, I work better alone, or I don't need help. Like, we all need help every once in a while. There's no point in going through life by yourself. I mean, whenever you get to the end, are you so focused on your social media presence and trying to be the cool guy that whenever you get to the end, you know, people at your funeral are just going to be giving you likes on a live feed? I'd rather have people sit around a bar and be like, dude, you remember when Mike did this? You remember whenever Mike helped out you? You remember when Mike helped me? Remember when we did this thing together? Remember whenever we all got together and did this? That's what I want. I don't want my life to be social media likes. I want my life to be impactful and help people. And again, I want them to be like, oh yeah, I remember whenever, you know, Mike did the Equinox Marathon, one of the hardest marathons in the US. And it's all off-road. I remember whenever he raised a bunch of money for charity and did the Marine Corps Marathon. I remember whenever he went out and helped, you know, a World War II veteran get his house cleaned up because he couldn't go out and do it, and then found out he was from the same state and that he missed gumbo, and he took him a pot of gumbo and ate gumbo with him and told stories about being back home. You know, those are the kind of things that I want people to remember. Oh yeah, his kid was, you know, did all this stuff and he was at every practice, or he was, you know, super supportive and he went to every game, and you know, they switched off with practices because he's got two kids and they had to divide and conquer some days. Y'all see where I'm going with this, right? But I don't want it to be, oh yeah, man, Mike was so focused on himself that he didn't have time for anybody else. I would rather be known for my empathy and my ability to get stuff done than being the cold guy that nobody thought cared about anything. So yeah, kind of dual purpose there, right? So be willing to let yourself change. I heard it put one time, Matt Vincent said, have a white belt mentality. And I get what that means. You know, when you go into martial arts and you're a white belt, you don't know anything. And that white belt signifies that you don't know anything. And a white belt signifies that you're there to learn and that you're just getting started in your journey. So why not take that mentality into a bunch of stuff? Did you ever want to learn how to paint? Well, don't go in there and be like, well, I watched 8 YouTube videos and I've painted a couple smiley faces so I know how to paint. No, you don't. Just shut up and listen. Enjoy the process. Enjoy that journey to become a painter. Same thing with writing. You know, I journal. Am I a writer? Not really. But I journal. I get my thoughts out of my head and into the world. So, but enjoy the journey. Enjoy that progress. Don't get caught up on the end goal of becoming the thing, or getting to the thing. Just let it be the continual journey of getting better and progressing. Be able to pivot and move. Again, find your identity along the way. Don't get caught up in just becoming the one thing. Now, the one good thing about becoming the one, focusing on one thing, is you get really, really good at that. You know, I was really good at being a police officer. I did my job well. But then you have to change. You know, there was not a lot of other stuff I was doing besides doing, being a triathlete and lifting weights. At the time, we didn't have kids. I probably wasn't even that good of a husband back then, if I'm being honest. I was so focused on myself because there wasn't anything else to do. I'm a much better husband now than I was then, that's for sure. Anyway, yeah, man, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, y'all. I really do appreciate it. Next week's episode will be going back to the PCS. We will talk about, going through the packing, loading. I know that was supposed to be this week's episode, but again, the more I've been thinking about this topic, the more I've wanted to just dive into it a little bit more. So next week we'll get back on trying to finish up the PCS process. So we'll go through having TMO load and unload your house, kind of some things just that we've been through a few times. We're getting ready to go through it again. So I'm going to try to hurry up and get that episode recorded before they actually come do it. because I don't know what my internet situation is going to be like once we move out. So as you can see, everything's done behind me for the most part. We're literally at the point now where we have to get everything set aside that we don't want them to pack, that we do want them to pack, and get everything else finished up. So we're right there at the very end. And yeah, it's really not as stressful anymore. So because we're already almost there. But anyway, y'all have a great week. Thank you so much for listening and watching. Hope y'all take care, and cheers.